Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. It is Longhorn Weekly here on Bleacher Report. So if you are on the Bleacher Report app, show some love, tap in. May have some polls and questions coming for you guys. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe the whole bit. You know what to do when we come in here and talk ball, take attendance. It helps us grow the platform, grow the channel. So throw to be here. Again, Fanatic Perspective is the name if you are not familiar with our Texas Longhorn coverage. Look, guys, coming off of the big win at Texas A&M, we're going to kind of grade some performances from Saturday and just a lot this week, right? Recruiting. We have National Signing Day this week. We have the SEC championship game. We got our rematch against Georgia. Texas coming in at 11-1, Georgia at 10-2. Going into Atlanta this weekend, looking to secure not just winning an SEC title and our first year in this conference, being back-to-back conference champions potentially in two different conferences over the last 2 years. What Steve Sarkisian has built in this football program has been remarkable, and that deserves to continue to get said, regardless of some of the schedule talk that was out there earlier, which is now about seeding and where these teams are going to fall. No more hiding, right? It's all big time football from here on out. We're in postseason play, if you will, and what a wonderful time and place to be. Really, depending on where your expectations were and what you saw of this team, I think most people had them in the 10-2, 11-1 range. They deliver 11-1, and they have an opportunity to avenge their only loss. Their only loss was Georgia at home after the OU game, right? And a lot going on there. A lot we learned. Texas learned about themselves offensively in that game, but to the letter grades, right? And I'm gonna put this in here in a poll. And if you're here watching me or listening on the Bleacher Report app, feel free to chime in the live chat area. But I'm gonna put this question up here, right? Who was your MVP against? Make sure I can spell Texas A&M. I think a lot of people are going to say Quintravian Wisner. Going to have Vernon Broughton on here. I'm going to have Michael Taafe. And then I'll put Trevor Gooseby. I want to make sure I got everybody's name spelled correctly before somebody come at me. I think I do. But yeah, let me put that poll out there. So we have a poll out there. So the four names I put, and there's more, right? That's literally off the top of my head. I don't know how many times you guys have rewatched the game, but off the top of my head, the poll I had out there was Wisner, Broughton, Taafe, Gooseby, right? And we will talk about each of when I go through the grades that I will give out by position group. We'll talk about it. So, and this is, I think this is a little fun exercise of how to rewatch the game or reprocess how we saw things. Very proud of the Texas effort against Texas A&M, 17-7 victory in Kyle Field and College Station. I was told that we would succumb to the environment. However, I would like to say that Texas has been built to play in big environments. And this is what my counter to that was, you are going to have to beat us with, and this goes back to a video I made earlier this year about either having elite quarterback play or having some sort of, moment like Georgia, where Georgia played at an A+ with that personnel and completely shut us down offensively. That's the only way you're going to beat this Texas team. And I stand on that. And we've seen that play out over the course of this season and really the course of last season. There's a reason why these guys are 22-2 over the, 22-3 or 23-3, whatever the record is. Yeah, I guess 23-3 with the extra conference win and the extra conference loss. So just outstanding what they've done over the last couple seasons. So as you guys are answering the poll there, letter grades, I'm going to start with the coaching staff, and I'm going to give them collectively an A. I felt like we were very prepared for this game, both measured on and off the field, from Sark's decision to bring them in a day early to how he carefully exposed our players to the rivalry and whatnot, but not letting them get sucked into that. Yes, this is important. It is important to beat Texas A&M. They were on the belt to ass list, just like OU was, just like Arkansas. Another thing too, the coaching staff for the year, you get an A because they also understood the importance of beating our rivals. Go see Ryan Day. Go see Ryan Day when you don't do that, okay? So Sark in year one comes into the conference. They handle their business against Oklahoma. Don't let OU score a touchdown. They didn't let OU score a touchdown. Arkansas, you go to Vietnam and you hold them boys to 10 points. A Bobby Petrino offense, they had guys coming back. They were explosive. You hold them down to 10 points. You go to Kyle Field, you go to College Station against another team that has an opportunity to go to Atlanta and play for SEC championship game, and you hold them scoreless offensively. That's how you go. That's how you handle the belt to ass list. That is how you handle your rivals. For that alone, the coaches get an A from Steve here, a Fanatic perspective. Quarterback play. I would give Quinn an A if it was only the first half. Bubba was courageous. I liked how he navigated the field, and he showed some playmaking ability in the second quarter. He looked like, I see CJ Vogel talked about it, and he stole my words. He looked like the Michigan Quinn, right? So for Quinn, ultimately though, with the turnovers, and I know one of the ball was tipped, and the fumble, it wasn't the best play call. Those things didn't kill us, but ball security matters when we're talking about quarterback play, especially a veteran. I have to give Quinn a B-. I would normally give him a C because he gave up points, but Quinn, I'm gonna average it out to a B- because he was so impactful of getting us that lead with the big plays and the big chunk plays, especially in the first half. Also, the uncertainty that there was around his mobility and ability to even get through the game, right? Navigating that A&M defensive front. He answered those questions so early in the game that it made me as a Texas fan feel comfortable that once he was okay, my defense could take care of the rest. And that was good, complementary, good team ball. So I'll leave Quinn at a B-. Running backs. Our MVP here, who's running away with this, Quintravion Wisener, who has 70% of the vote so far. The running backs are going to get an A from me. They ran hard. They ran in unison with the offensive line. And Quintravion Wisener taking 33 carries for over 180 yards rushing, and just a yeoman's effort after bell cow effort against a tough Kentucky defense the week before. As Jaden Blue said, we are riding the hot hand. We have found 26 is him. He's on fire. And all respect to him, right? On top of still handling his responsibilities and pass protection, as well as handling his responsibilities in the receiving game. Running backs as a group gets an A. Jaden Blue, again, leadership role, knowing, hey, I'm not carrying the ball like that, but when I need, I'm ready when called upon. And him catching that touchdown on Bryce Anderson in the back of the end zone showed why he's such a dynamic player for us. And even in the role that he's currently in, can be very, very impactful for Texas down the long run. So Jaden Blue, Quintravian Wisener, I know we saw a little bit of Jared Gibson, but for the most part, that running back room deserves an A. Receivers. Receivers, I'll give them a B plus. I thought they did a great job of doing what they're supposed to do within the secondary of attacking A&M early, which, again, hitting those chunk plays, everything's complementary. Hitting some of those chunk plays, Ryan Wingo gets a chunk play. Matthew Golden had a couple chunk plays. Just those things alone helping us push that A&M secondary back to where they're not living, at the line of scrimmage, allows us to get into the run game a little bit better, right? Only thing holding it back from A, honestly, is their health. DeAndre Moore clearly still nicked up. Isaiah Bond very clearly nicked up. And I think we missed a couple opportunities that we normally would have had with him if he's 100% healthy. So while we saw the potential with our receivers, we also saw they're not the healthiest group. I'm hoping after the SEC championship game, especially Isaiah Bond, can get healthier on that ankle. And we can also, we still haven't had the big Silas game yet offensively. Silas has definitely helped us in special teams more than hurt us. I know I've been critical of Silas, but he's helped more than he's hurt. But overall, I'll give the receivers a B plus. Gunnar Helm, Juan Davis, Amari Niblack, the tight end group, I will also give them a B plus. Gunnar Helm on his own gets an A. The rest of the group was, they also had some opportunities, didn't do a whole lot. So I scale them down to a B plus. Just to be fair, I'm not going to give everybody on offense can't get an A. We only scored 17 points. We got to be fair about that. We didn't score in the second half. So I'm a harder grader, but tight ends, I'll give a B plus. Gunnar, much deserved Mackey Award finalist. And I think he's probably the third tight end in the draft. Maybe behind Colton Loveland and the Bowling Green tight end, who's leading the league, who's leading the country in receiving. That's how good Gunnar Helm has been. So credit to him. Offensive line is going to get an A for me. They had arguably the toughest matchup coming into the game, where A&M is built, where A&M's strength lies, especially dealing not just with their defensive line, but also with the stunts and the mugs shows that A&M shows with their linebackers. So I give the offensive line an A because they went through adversity. They lost Kelvin Banks, man. Kelvin Banks is the best football player on this team. And for Trevor Gooseby, who is one of the people on here to come in and step in at left tackle and hold it down the whole night with no worries, but not even just no worries, but actually played good football. He actually helped the team. We got mall mode even better when he got in there. So Trevor Gooseby, hats off to you, young man. Jake Majors, hats off to you for leading that group. Our veterans in there, the Cam Williams of the world, who have gotten their pre-snap penalty issues that they had early in the season. That was a concern for me. I know that was a challenge for Cam at Michigan. That wasn't a big deal for us much at all on the road. We were just disciplined, cleaned up, continue to get better over the course of the season. Credit to Coach Flood for having that group ready to play. The entire Texas offensive line deserves an A in terms of grades from me. So QB, B minus, running backs got an A, receivers B plus, tight ends B plus, offensive line A. Coaching staff, we gave A. Defensive line, I'm going to go A. Vernon Broughton, probably his, I don't know if that was his best overall game as a Texas Longhorn, maybe, but that was definitely the one with the most highlights, the most times you saw VB. He was just a menace in both short yardage as well as pass rushing. He was a menace in all aspects of the game for Texas A&M. And that kid, what's the guy's name? Trey Zunn, couldn't do nothing with Vernon Broughton. That was a bad matchup for Texas A&M. Very bad matchup. And then when I factor in the plays that Barrett Sorrell, who had a really nasty offsides early, but he comes back and he's the one that makes the first fourth down stop early in the game when Mike Elko and them decide to go for it. Credit to just everybody stepping up, man. Sorrell, Colin Simmons, Trey Moore, Vernon Broughton, Ethan Burke was big time, had big time snaps. Jermaine Lole was a constant. The entire Texas defensive line, I cannot say enough good things about. So, collectively, that group, they get an A from me. Linebackers. I'm curious what you guys think about linebackers, if I should go B plus or A minus. I think I'm going to go A minus on the linebackers, only because we were a little quiet with Anthony Hill, but we didn't have any real miss. We had only 3 missed tackles the whole game. That's outstanding. And Leona Leifau graded through the roof. Blackwell was it. I mean, just the different guys, David Benda. While they didn't have the loudest performances, our scheme, and Tran mentioned this on the post game, one of the tactics we did was how we mixed in our secondary into some of the responsibilities for dealing with and accounting for Marcel Reed's legs, not just in the traditional option game, but also for RPO and throwing off some of their keys. Really, really like what they did there. So linebackers, I'll give them an A minus for the shutout. Tremendous performance. And then the Texas secondary continues to stand on business. They obviously get an A. Michael Taafe was the standout player this particular game. But over the course of the season, Jahdae Barron's going to get the Thorpe recognition. He deserves to win the Thorpe. He deserves all that. But Andrew Makuba's been right there. Michael Taafe's been right there. Manny Muhammad has held it down on his side in coverage. So overall, just impressed with those guys. After the first drive, they didn't give up a whole lot. I mean, the longest drive they gave up in the game was the first drive, where A&M went 65 yards, decided to get greedy and go for a touchdown versus those taking their 3 and taking the lead. But after that, they didn't have any type of sustained success. And then special teams, I'm gonna grade that as a D. Anytime you have a kick blocked, missed field goal, didn't have the greatest punts, I'll just leave it at that. Y'all know where it is. The fact that we were able to eat the special teams challenges is a good thing. That still concerns me down the road for playoff games, just being honest. But in this case, we were so dominant offensively. It was clear that A&M wasn't going to score, right? I mean, offensively. So there was going to have to be the pick six, right? There's going to be something else that they generated points off of. And even those things weren't enough to even pull them within double digits of us. So you guys let me know what some of your grades are for the Texas. I actually put this one in here too. Create another poll question. What grade would you give the Texas secondary against A&M? And then after this, we're going to get into some Georgia prep. Who's Eisner? Wisner. Y'all are funny. Look, I hear you, Fahim. Great comment. Let me actually come to this comment here. This is true. Go over here. I'll pin this real quick. Will forever be wild to me how Taafe was someone most fans, myself included, didn't want to see play. And now I can confidently say is up there with one of my favorite Longhorns in recent history. A, credit to you for admitting that and standing on that. I love when, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, we all have our opinions of who should be playing. We want, especially when you have high profile guys in the program at the time, especially when he came in, there were some big names uh, that were predicting or projected to do big things, right? Big name recruits. I remember guys like BJ Allen, right? Or Xavier Alfer, all these different guys, even transfers like Catalan who came in here. And there was this underlying sense of frustration anytime Michael Taafe was in the game. And it's like, why is he here? What's he doing? Blah, blah, blah. He's a walk-on. But I kept when I really started to, when you eliminate that bias, that unconscious bias, when you get rid of that, and go look up unconscious bias right away. It'll help you be a better person. Trust me. Go look up unconscious bias. But when you get rid of that unconscious bias and you look at the film, don't discriminate against the guy because he was only a walk-on or because you don't want to see no white safeties out there because they remind you of somebody else. Get rid of the bias and look at the film. And there was a reason why he was out there. And that was before the turnover started to come, the more explosive plays started to come, because he was also working on his body. He has gotten bigger, stronger, faster as a football player. He has gotten even smarter. He's become a veteran. That experience he's obviously under scholarship now. And I believe, we call him Mookie here on the 40. I believe Mookie's going to be drafted. I believe he's a draftable player. That's how well he's been playing football. As long as his measurables and stuff like that are not completely just atrocious, which they don't seem to be when you watch him on the field. I've never watched Michael Taafe on the football field and said he looks slow or he doesn't look like he belongs out there size wise, or he's slow to the ball. Like, it's just obvious that he can't run. I've never thought any of those things. Quite frankly, the way he's able to high point the football athletically, there's got to be some sort of above average athleticism there at minimum. But Fahim, I'm glad you pointed this out, because I think Michael Taafe is also a lesson to trust the staff. Because some of those guys like that were playing before out of necessity in previous regimes when we weren't good. And it was like, damn, is this a signal that like we're still not good, or why can't other guys get on the field? No, it's the opposite. It's this guy was a hidden gem. This guy is playing like a 4 or 5 star. And he's a dog, and he has the will of a walk-on. So we can say the same thing about Quintravian Wisner. I know several people who are ranking snobs who were turned off by him getting carries and turned off by him getting work. Again, watch the field, and Sark talks about program guys. Michael Taafe is a program guy. Quintravian Wisner is a program guy. And I couldn't be happier from what I'm seeing from those guys. So just terrific stuff. Let me see if I can. Nah, but I appreciate that, Fahim. Yeah, Taafe was a preferred walk-on too. These are some good comments. A for the defense and B minus for the offense. The offense needs to clean up turnovers. Special teams, I give an F to because getting a pump block is bad. I hear you, Frank. I hear you. Satel said, I agree with everything you said. I'm worried about turnovers. I want to see a healthy quarterback against Georgia. Can't afford turnovers like last time we played Georgia. Yeah, so the Georgia, getting to that real quick. And let me just say this. If listening, Pete Kwiatkowski deserves the Frank Burrows Award. He has my vote for the top assistant coach in the country. I think out of every unit, every metric, and unit that is most important to the overall success of a team, the Texas defense stands above all in college football to me. I know I'm a little biased, but Pete Kwiatkowski, the job that he's done with this Texas defense from start to finish, when you consider the one loss we have, that was a game in which he was able to turn over the Georgia offense. That was a game where he was able to hold Carson Beck well under 200 yards passing, a guy that had came in on a 300 something yard heater multiple games, was able to force multiple turnovers, and didn't give up any long drives. I mean, everything was short fields except for one big chunk trick play, essentially. So he and this Texas defense have done a remarkable job this year. As we look at the rematch in Atlanta, one of the biggest things is how will we respond to Kirby and this Georgia defense, Glenn Schumann, the Georgia Brain Trust, because I don't expect them to be on their BS like they were against Georgia Tech. But when they go that two-man look, especially the two-man look, and they're playing man underneath, they have two safeties high, and they're just looking to hunt up front with Walker and Williams and Munden and all these guys. How do we combat that? We know that that's the look that gave us fits. We know that was the look that Quinn was hesitant to throw in breaking routes against and hesitant to navigate the pocket against, even at times of them spying him. We know now that, hey, that was the wake-up call for us to, A, be more balanced. As Tran said, run the effing ball, bring those safeties down, make Dan Jackson come down and make tackles, make Malachi Starks have to come down and make tackles. Again, excellent defensive players, but making the game dictate on our pace, not theirs, and running downhill in a myriad of different ways that we are able to do with now that Whit Wisner's given us that consistency, and the offensive line is obviously in mall mode and feeling better. I thought that's something they just figured out too late in the first game against Georgia. You obviously want to come out and punch them in the mouth the same way you did Kentucky, Texas A&M. I can't think of any other better fronts to face for a tune-up of a team that you already have seen and you already know what the energy they're going to come with than Georgia come the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta on Saturday, Championship Saturday. So to me, it's going to start with the physicality there, just like it did with A&M. The defense, the one thing that they can improve, and they have improved on since the first time they've played Georgia, I think they've gotten even better with their interior run fits and overall tackling than even the first time where Trevor Etienne was able to still slip free and, break some things. Also, Georgia, if you remember, they were spreading us out a bit and killing us with underneath passing and guys breaking tackles and leveraging the sidelines. Can we play with better leverage on defense to prevent some of the cheap stuff for them to move the chains within the red zone area? That will be a key that I'm paying attention to. But ultimately, when you look at the quarterback position, two things: Quinn's health, making sure that ankle is still, if he can move and play with the sense of urgency that he had against Texas A&M, and he has those playmaking abilities where he's extending a play, and the guy that's really good with him extending plays is Gunnar Helm on the other side. hitting Matthew Golden on the end breaking stuff, and if we can get anything out of Isaiah Bond, we're in business offensively. We're in business with Quinn. The other thing quarterback wise to pay attention to is this Arch Manning package. I like being proactive. I don't want to put Arch in the game reactively like we had to do the first time. Put him in the game and put him in a position where he can have success in getting a first down and getting fired up and amped up into the game. I think that'll help him. And then you can be diverse and throw out of that package knowing his skill set and capabilities as well. There's a lot on the table for Sark to leverage. And what excites me is hearing Sark saying, "Oh, I haven't shown you on the full menu yet. We haven't run everything. And we haven't had to run everything." I mean, if you think about the last 2 weeks was finishing the game in terms of mentality. The last 2 weeks was building up this run game to match with your defense. But that didn't mean that we went and showed everything else that we got going on, um, with our possible offensive script as well as personnel and what we decide to do with that, right? So, really curious to hear you guys' thoughts there on, certain things what are you paying attention to? What are your key things you're honing in on in the rematch between Texas and Georgia? Let me know. Quinn, hey, Quinn at least played with a warrior's heart, spirit. But I'm with you guys. You got to do what's best for the team. But you also saw that big game mentality, and is why Sark left him there. That what he gives you, that juice. That's why Sark. That's why Sark trusts him on the road. They trust him in those environments. He just there's just more of a sense of urgency. That's the best way I can say it. Great comments here from it's me. You're right. No. Remember 2 years ago, everyone wanted PK's head. I think showing how continuity and a staff can actually develop is huge. That'll be a big thing that we talk about in regards to recruiting this week, right? A lot of news going on. A lot of schools right now. OU just announced that they're going to be hiring Bill Arbuckle, since you're up from that area. OC at Washington State. Most likely will have his quarterback, John Mateer, coming with him. But when you think about Brent Venables over there at OU going into year 4, having to change coordinators again, right? Already on their third offensive coordinator in 4 years. When you think about just the continuity, Texas A&M, are they going to stick with Colin Klein? I know it's only been 1 year. It's a lot going on, but is that really your guy you want to pair with Mike Elko, or to avoid not being being in the same situation like a BV was? So we'll see there. But one thing we knew about PK was when he was at Boise State, when he was at Washington, every single year he was at those schools, those defenses got better and better and better and better. The thing that we had going at Texas defensively was coordinators would get here and be a rock star year 1. Vance Bedford, Todd Orlando, like Manny Diaz. These guys were rock stars year 1, and then the milk would go bad. PK is like a fine wine. The more comfortable he's gotten, I think Johnny Nansen has helped tremendously with pairing that front that PK wants and getting the ideal football players he wants to use to handle both run and pass underneath, but also pairing them with the right teacher and coverages and concepts and techniques on the back end. And I think that's where Johnny Nansen, Terry Joseph, and Blake Gideon deserve a hell of a lot of credit, from how they've developed their positions, but also to how they're recruiting right now. This staff is on fire. Yeah, Nansen was absolutely a huge kid. So that's my time. You guys let me know in the comments, in the chats, whatever. What letter grade do you give this team this year? Or not this year, but for the A&M game. So letter grades for the A&M game, and then we'll continue to have prep on my channel as well as all on the Bleacher Report space all week. Georgia prep, right? How how we match up in this rematch, things we're looking to see improvement on, things that Texas should do more of from the first game. There were some things I thought we did where we had success as well, right? We can't just throw out the whole thing. There is nuance to this overall. So y'all let me know. Appreciate y'all. And remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.